Like they do have a need to call it. I think can we call it advanced community, direct community, and then came this great opportunity, and I was funded by GPAL Africa to attend a workshop.
We are live now, right?
Ghana. Then afterwards, there was this letter from GPAL that I was named the African Scholar.
Did you go live?
And that brought the need for it. So I'm an African Scholar, and I'm into mentorship. So let's make it.
It's private too.
Mentorship. The next thing should it be network? Should it be community? Or should it be
happiness?
It should be.
Or make it private. Make it public now.
Mentorship network. ASMN.
Huh?
And on the screen, we have.
It's private. Why do you make it private?
They become ASMN for short. So ASMN has become a popular name. So afterwards, we said, okay, let's have a place we can provide mentorship and attend to the virtual space. So with
why do you make it it's private? Why do you make it private?
To relate to the very first inception of it, it's ASMN 1.0 that ran between May 2023 to July 2023. And at this point, we didn't have a full knowledge about the content.
What?
So we have an idea to cover grant writing.
Oh, is this a private? It should start.
As we started, having the full focal points, and then we have the episodes. Each episode, episodes, 5 episodes now, and thankfully, we did the ones through of the applications for us.
Okay, so yeah, Judith, we're already streaming. I check whether you can see it.
The persons that went through the program, which is 1.0, that ran between May and July.
We are live now.
Afterwards, in the course of the training,
can you see
it?
Okay, let me check.
Every can also post the direct link to our 3.0 and also ASMN Premier Group. The direct link
and based on the source of that,
on our admin Premier Group and 3.0.
Is it me?
No, I don't do happiness. So she has put it on our admin team, our Premier Group.
And thankfully, I work with that team that work in agriculture and climate change.
Check what I can see it.
I will have a connection between them and which is quite amazing. So based on that feedback, testimonials for 1.0, we are so moved to start the next one, which is 2.0. So 2.0.
Hello, Prof. The video does not have audio. We can't hear again.
It's what happened? Is it on the YouTube or on the Zoom? Is it playing?
So, it's playing, but there is no audio.
No audio.
Mm-hmm.
Can we hear the video? Is that audio? The video is that audio? What up? Thank you. There's audio.
I can hear you, but I can't hear what the video is saying.
What?
As you're talking now, I can hear you. So it is not from my own end. I think it's the video.
It's the video. Okay, there's no audio for the video.
Yes, sir. At some point there was, but now there is none.
Okay, let me stop now and see. Let me stop share and share again and see. So let me share again. What of now? What of now? Is the audio? Judith, what of now?
No, there's no audio, sir.
But you can see the video.
Yes, I can.
That is strange. But it's still playing on my own. Okay, by the way, look, I got pause now since we are almost time to start. What? I'm not muted, so if you are. Okay, so let me stop now. It's almost time. I wonder why. Let me try for the last time and see. Okay, for the last time, is there video now? Is there audio? Yeah, can you hear audio now?
No, sir.
Okay. I don't know what happened again. What was playing before. Okay, so let's quickly have 1 minute to go, and then we are live on YouTube. So I will just share this screen for. Okay, so it's 1 minute to go, and
Is it the same live link, sir? I hope is it being changed?
say it again.
It's the same link, YouTube link for the live video, right?
Yeah, the same link. It's even happiness. I even shared the direct link on our YouTube, on our platforms.
Yes.
It's same. Yeah?
It's the same link.
Yeah, the same link. Yes.
Live video, right?
Yeah, the same link. It's even happiness. I even shared the direct link. Okay, so sure. Great. All right. So good evening, everybody from Nigeria. If whatever you're joining for us from all over the world, I will say good day. Please confirm that you can see our screen by writing yes or wave. You can either wave or write yes on the chat or wave with your hand. Both on the Zoom. Let me start recording. Please start recording, please. Start recording. Okay, yes, thank you so much. If you're on YouTube, live on YouTube, also confirm that you can hear us. Great. All right. So on behalf of myself, founding chair of DIaDeRC, I'd like to welcome us to this second episode, which is episode 2 of ASMN 3.0. And last week we started this journey of 5-week lecture boot camp, and I'm happy that we are here as well to continue. So we gave the outline for last week, as you can see on the screen. So last week we covered episode 1, which was introduction and setting the stage for grant proposal writing. And in case you miss it for any reason, the YouTube, we streamed live on YouTube last week, like today. So we are live. It's live on YouTube, and we also put it in the exercise. Exercise 1 is already there. So if you click on this link to the form for this exercise, the YouTube link is also there. So we admonish that you go over it again and again and again. It's there for free on YouTube. And like also mentioned, remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel so that you can be getting updates on our events and also access our numerous resources. We have more than 40 videos right there. We're covering different aspects of research, from postgraduate research to how to create a compelling CV and motivation, how to get research ideas, and many others. So we'll be very glad to subscribe to our channel so you can get it. Okay, so second thing is that exercise 1 is ready. And when I check today, over 44% have done the exercise. I want to say thanks a lot for those who have taken time to do the exercise. We appreciate you. And I want to reiterate that exercise is part of the requirements to qualify for certificates in addition to the premium requirements. So please, if you have not had time to do the exercise 1, you are strongly admonished to get it done after now. We open it till episode 4, because by tomorrow, the exercise 2 for this episode 2 will also be there. So each episode we normally have the exercise there for us, because one is also to be sure that we're engaging with the resources and we're also participating. It's one of the pedagogy of online training. So it's a journey. So be with us and sail along with us. So in summary, the exercise 1 that I mentioned earlier is not only for the exercise per se. There are just 5 main questions, but it's able to get feedback for the wonderful comments we received last suggestions, comments. They are also very good for us to have such a feedback. And secondly, is if you look at those of us that are doing the exercise, we also listed some of the areas of expertise or interest. I think we have, based on the form that were submitted, about 249 forms. We went through all of them to segment into 10 different thematic areas that we can collaborate. So in the exercise 1, we asked us to indicate our first option and second option. That will help us to group this participant in a 3.0 into different groups. So I encourage us to take exercise. And so today we're going right to this second episode, episode 2, which is we have the speaker, the facilitator already here with us, which is practical insight on grant winning and grant meditation. In due course, we shall present the speaker with us, Dr. Judith Ani. Okay. All right. So as also way to introduce, I'm still taking the opening remark. We thank God that once again, I want to say more happy new month of June to us. This is the month of June, and it's the first time we're meeting in June, and we trust God that this month of June shall be a great one for us in the name of Jesus Christ. And we also did a happy new month video on DIaDeRC, so it's also on there for free on our YouTube. We mentioned some of the points that can help us to maximize June. For example, we say there's need to joyfully jubilate, there's need to unitedly unify, there's need to naturally neutralize, and there's need to expectantly exemplify. They're out there, so you can get that. All right, and God bless you. Okay, so somebody asked a question last week. I just in episode 1, I just needed to introduce that. This we did in series 1.0, which we call mentorship nature nurture cycle. And I want to emphasize that is one of my mentee, Karakara Al-Hassan at University of Cape Coast, Ghana, one of my longest standing mentee, who's now a doctor in that university. And so we use our life experience to have come up with this tripod cycle, which we call honesty and integrity as foundation for any mentorship. And then 2, that the mentee should be the captain and the mentor is co-pilot. So this is very crucial for us. So when people say they want to collaborate, we normally ask them, where's your concept note? So we know we are driving from what you are coming from. So we don't take you away from your interests. Rather, we provide guidance for you. And then there's also need for frequent evaluations and progress reports. For it could be every 6 months, it could be every 1 year. And then that will help us to achieve what we call the mentorship success, whereby the mentor and mentee key gain at the end of the day. So it's online. You can read the whole article online. It's on ResearchGate for free. Remember we said last week, if you're on this platform, you don't have a profile on ResearchGate, you don't have a profile on academia, you don't have a profile on Google Scholar, you are wrong, because this is where you can help to boost your visibility. Okay, so, and most of these platforms are actually for free. Okay, some of them will require you to have an institutional email address. In case you don't have, we can also discuss how we can help you. So these are one way, and also on LinkedIn. LinkedIn is one of the largest professional online platform. The Facebook is also there, but Facebook is for all commerce, which is not bad, but you focus on what you do. These are ways to gain visibility. Yeah, somebody also asked, one of the questions I was asked again was that at what point should I start writing? Should I wait until I have a PhD? And I will say that where you are is good enough to start. And I remember in our previous list also to discuss this what we call the research academic impact pyramid, whereby wherever you are, whether you are, well, once you have a first degree, you did projects in your undergraduate. So anybody who has done projects, research projects in the undergraduate can start from making impact. So in that case, you start from what I call the lowest level rung on the ladder by consuming knowledge. So you back on what they call it knowledge consumption. You are consuming and consuming and consuming knowledge. Why so? It will help you to adapt what I call research academic adaptability. So you know which area of research you want to zero on by reading so wide. And as you read so wide, you begin to have now quest to write, to contribute by what I call a knowledge production. You need to write, publish as well. And then that will help you get to what I call academic or researcher visibility. And as if you keep at it, you can get more strength. You can move to next what I call knowledge moderation. You need to also moderate knowledge. Let's meet others who are not talking. Knowledge moderation. And then but in this case, you're able to start reviewing articles, reviewing for journals. If you stay there long, you gain what I call stability and then maintaining integrity. So you stay long as well, you move on to what I call knowledge stimulation. At this stage, you need to define what people research on. You need to define like a special issue in a journal. You need to define even the edited book. You bring the concepts. People will to contribute to what you are bringing aboard. So in that case, you are back on what we call knowledge stimulation. And if you stay there for long, you'll be known and reputable in the area. So you can now give what I call academic or research immortality. So we can take a look at that. So I want to now pause now as I begin to. Before then, I want to also last week also introduce call for action ASMN Premier Group membership with a lot of benefits. And if you're not there, I think a lot of persons joined after last week. I think I mentioned this lady who was the very first to join. Thanks to her. In fact, the first day we announced it, she joined that very first day. So the link is there, is on our website, and it's so simple. Whether you are anywhere you are in the world, you can just use the Flutterwave platform, online platform, and the system will convert the currency. It's less than a loaf of bread per month. So let's encourage you to be joined, and there are a lot of benefits. People already collaborating, and you'll be glad you did. Thanks a lot. And now let's go to the next one. So I welcome my colleague, Mr. Tats, to introduce our wonderful, beautiful lady who is taking on this wonderful diet on episode 2. At that, please let's introduce Dr. Judith. Thanks so much.
Thank you very much, Professor Evans. Good evening, our esteemed participants to ASMN 3.0. Quickly, let me run through the profile of speaker of the day, our facilitator of the day, Dr. Judith Ani. She serves as the Chief Operations Officer and Director of Research at Inspire World International Foundations, and Ed Collaborations and Partnership at DIaDeRC. She is a research associate at the University of Johannesburg, South Africa, with research interest in health, gerontology, gender, migration, food security, and climate change. She has received awards for her impactful research, contributing to several funded projects, the most recent being the prestigious 2023 African-German Network of Excellence in Science grant funded by BMZ, German Ministry for Economic Cooperation and Development, and AVH, Alexander von Humboldt Foundation. Passionate about evidence-based research, she aims to address Africa's social and health challenges for sustainable development.
As we will say, ladies and gentlemen, please join me with a clap or clap innovation, either with your digital or physical or anyone on YouTube or LinkedIn, whatever it's on YouTube or Zoom, as we may welcome this wonderful African lady, Dr. Judith Ani, as she takes her presentation. Okay,
Thank you very much.
I need to share a screen now. Yeah. So your screen is, please, let's see what I'm recording. I can see recording. Is it paused? Please. Is it recording? Great. Your screen is on now. Are you there? You did?
Yes, I'm there. Can you all hear me?
Loud and clear.
All right. Good evening, everyone on this call. It's a pleasure to be your facilitator on this episode on practical insights on grant writing, winning, and implementation. I know that some of you, I don't know if they have introduced themselves, but usually when I facilitate, I like knowing who I'm speaking with and who is on this call. So I know that we have people from different continents, as was shown in the last episode. We have people from Canada, we have people from Nigeria, Tanzania, Cameroon, different countries. And I wish to welcome you all. Thank you for making our time to join us on this call. Like I keep saying, learning never ends. The only place we learn is not just the classroom, we learn everywhere. And as the title of our workshop says, African Scholars Mentorship Network. For any serious-minded academics, development practitioner, or professional, mentorship is very important. I don't joke with mentorship, and if you're here on this call, you have done so well, and you have used a better part of your evening most effectively. So I'd like to welcome you on board. Let's learn together. I believe that learning is mutual. I learn from you and you learn from me, because that is what learning should be about. So today I'm going to be speaking on I'm going to be giving you practical insights on grant writing, grant winning, and grant implementation. And we are going to do it like this. Can we see the table of contents? So we are going to run through the introduction. We are going to run through recaps. I know that Prof took some part of the aspect on grant writing last week. He just gave a skeletal bits on grant writing last week. So we are going to do a recap. Let me be sure that we still understand. You know, when we were in primary school, do you understand? Yes, so we want to make sure that you understand, at least let me say that you got some nuggets from what he taught. Please, if at any point you stop hearing me, please let me know. So there's something I called before you begin. We are going to look at that. We're also going to look at writing a competitive proposal, the CFA in research grant writing, common mistakes to avoid, a very important one, which most times we really don't get to hear firsthand experience on rejections. You're going to hear that. And it's not that bad. It's not that gory. It's not that, it's not the end. There's always a success story, you know, like they say, after the rain comes shine. Okay, we're also going to be hearing some of the success stories. And then we conclude. So the first thing is, in the comment section, can you tell me you want to win a grant? Use the chat box. I want to know why. Why do you want to win a grant? So we are just going to do this in another 1 minute. Tell me, I want to learn from you. I want to know why. Why is grant so important to you? Let me just know why. 1 minute to do that.
That's why do you want to win grants? Please, you can use chat if you're on Zoom. If you're on YouTube, you can use the comment section. Why? Let's know why. Maybe you want to get dollar, you want to get money, you want to build house, you want to get
Or you
married.
want to pay house rent. Or you want to marry.
Which is not bad actually, but let's know why. So let's get the comment coming. Okay, thanks so much for sending comments.
For publications and research, for
Wow.
solve existing problem, develop
So Judith, yeah, there are many comments already coming on the chat, so you can check it out.
No problem, yes. Thank you, Nkiruka. Develop impact researchful project, excellent, excellent. To improve livelihood outcome of excellent. Provide solution, excellent. I love this. I love this. Explore more research project, beautiful. Unlock resources from Adesoji Joyce. He said, there is money in grant writing. Exactly, this is what I've been waiting for. Joyce is just very honest. There is money in grant writing, but don't eat your funders' money. Provide solution and get money. Yeah, there's always a value. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So thank you very much. There are 1,001 reasons why we all want to win grants. And I can assure you that everything you said is correct, even to win money. Grants is not charity. I mean, you are putting in your time, your energy, your intellectual property. They should be returned to gain more confidence and improve my career skills and make more money. Excellent. Excellent. I love this. So now that I have known why you want to win grants, I am happy to know that we have people that we all have like minds. Thank God there's nobody who wants to use it to marry. So we will schedule a counseling session for that person. Very happy. So thank you very much for sharing your why. That is, what is your why? I'm happy to learn why you want to win a grant. And let's run through the recaps. You know, last week, hello, is someone talking?
Oh, go on, ma.
All right. Okay, last week, Professor Evans took 3 important discussions on grants, where he talked about concepts of grant writing, choosing a research or thematic area, and grant writing proposal. So in another 1 minute, let's run through the recap on the concept of grant writing and winning. Just give me one nugget that stick to you. Concept of grant writing and winning. Just one nugget. Just one. Let it not be more than one. Just one, if you could remember. He talked about the concept of grant writing last week. He also talked about choosing a research topic last week. And then he also talked about grant writing proposal last week. So just give me one, just one. Just one nugget, something that stands exactly. Research should be topical. It's not a sprint but marathon. I remember him saying Usain Bolt and then this other guy, the Kenyan or Uganda guy. Grant writing is a sprint. Is it a sprint, not a marathon, or marathon, not a sprint? Professor Evans, is that correct?
It's a marathon, not a sprint. And exactly. That's many people feel that question in the exercise. we paraphrase it.
It's actually a marathon, not a sprint. Avolastminute.com. lastminute.com. Prof, I think we should open a website called lastminute.com that also talks about this. I think it's an
Okay. You
interesting
can create
domain name.
a subdomain. You can do that a page for
Last minute
yeah.
on our webpage. Yeah, avoid
Yeah.
lastminute.com, where you talk about do's and don'ts on grant writing. Excellent. Good. I'm happy to know that we are all on the same page. So let's run through choosing a research topic or thematic area. Just one nugget that stands out for you from last week. Just one. Okay, it's better not to win than not to deliver. Exactly. Starting ing. Exactly. I agree. Title should contain active verb. Exactly. Thank you very much. So let's quickly run through the last one. So just give me one nugget on grant writing proposal. These are what he presented on last week, the 3 topics he discussed on. Just grant writing proposal, some components, okay, let's quickly run. He talked about the introduction, objective, insight from literature, conceptual, analytical, theoretical framework, and all of that. He also talked about the methodology, anticipated or theory of change or relevance, team composition, work plan, timeline, budget, and references. So these are wonderful points that Prof raised last week. And I quickly want, before I venture into my presentation proper, I want to quickly mention that sometimes when you see call for proposals, they can come as requests for proposal RFPs, RFAs, BAA, FOA, RFI, IFB, ITB, invitation to bid and requests for quotes. And don't just wait until the people begin to call for any of these proposals. You can just crash them. I know so many things I've caught by just putting up something and writing, even if it doesn't get funded, but a relationship, collaboration came out. What landed me in some of the organizations I affiliated with, and in some of the things I've been able to do. So on this note, I wish to welcome you proper to my presentation, taking it off from where Professor Evans stopped last week. As an academic, grant is very important. Grant winning is very important. If you're an academic and you have not won a grant, I think you should reassess yourself. That is it. Grants is not just when you win the big money, when you win thousands or millions. Something as little as, having a travel grant, going for workshops, fully funded, they are all grants. So as an academic, especially as an early career, to strive, you keep working around the clock. The truth is that in the academic circle, in the academic system, it's a place where your work should be able to speak for you. As an upcoming academic so many years ago, especially when I was doing my master's, I had always, when I cite people, they look like gods to me. I'll be like, oh my God, when will I meet this person? For me, they are celebrities. To be able to read someone and cite them, I always look forward to meeting these people one day. And interestingly, I've met some of them. So the truth is that grants, when some last week, Prof. Evans made a mention that grant writing is not a charity. It's not something, you are not begging. You are out to use your skills to solve. Also see it from that dimension. You want to contribute to the growth and development of the society. So that is why grant proposal should be able to inspire change. It should be able to inspire the necessary resources to help the society, to help institutions fulfill her purpose. Grant writing should be able to give you freedom to do intellectually stimulating work. Grant writing should be able to open new avenues and new programs for you. Grant writing should be able to give you publications, especially in high impact and standard journals. And I'm happy that part of what we have lined up for you is publishing. Grant writing should be able to help you establish that there is a need in a particular society. If you could remember the example Professor Evans used in crafting your research to a particular standard, he mentioned, he talked about something on smoked fish sellers. Now, for that person who wrote that topic and perhaps won that particular grant, he observed that perhaps the way that these people are processing smoked fish might not be very efficient for them. It might not even, health-wise, it might not be very okay for them. He also might have seen that there is need for the government to begin to earn some in foreign currency when they export that. So in other words, when you are writing a grant or when you are seeking for support, or when you are applying for a grant, you should be able to go beyond the normal academic balanced basic research to something that is aimed at solving a need. And remember again that there is need to always all of these things to the Sustainable Development Goals. There is no way that whatever topic you choose to write on will not be aligned to the Sustainable Development Goals of the United Nations. In other words, your grant proposal should aim to identify societal need and ensuring that whatever you're writing should be measurable, it should be realistic, and it should also have an actionable outcomes. Before you begin to write, one of my mentors used to say that before you write, pause and think. Before you put pen or before you put your fingers on your keyboard, you should have thoughts. Like, in his own opinion, he feels that it's an error to think as you're writing. It's not like you cannot think, but you should have been able to develop and then put it in writing, and then you begin to type them out. And then again, you begin to work or expand on those things you have already thought about. So, for Christians on this call, for Muslims on this call, whatever you believe in, you can agree with me that you don't just appear before the divine without, preparing yourself. The Muslims do what they call them ablution, up and right. And then the Christians, even before they go to church, I don't know how many people do that anyway, but you need to pray, you need to prepare yourself at home before going to church. You don't just, walk into the church just like that. That is the same principles in grant writing. Before you begin to write or put in writing whatever proposal you have, you should be able to think and answer this question: what is my research question? The first one is the what. The second one is how. The third one is the why. What am I doing with this? What am I looking for? What questions do I want to answer? What is new? The second one, the why. Why is this question interesting? Why does the answer matter? If I ask, for instance, using that example on smoked fish, improving smoked fish, whatever in Mali, why is this topic interesting? From this topic, you're going to definitely get a research question. You need to ask yourself, what is so interesting in my research? Why is it so interesting? Why does the answer matter? And the last one is the how. The how is very important. I keep telling people that if you have not mastered the science and art of methodology, you are not research. And unfortunately, this is even the area that a lot of people find it difficult. I don't know how you plan to build a house when you don't know the dimensions, when you've not laid the right foundation. The house definitely will crash. So if you don't know how you will collect your data, if you don't know how you will proceed with your empirical strategy, that is your methodology, your research will definitely not stand. You could find yourself in the field and then you rush into the field, you rush out again, you just be going like a maze, no specific direction. In other words, before you begin to write, make sure that your grant proposal answers the what, the why, and the how. So let's move to the next slide. And then before you begin again, you should be able to think outside the box. Think in precise writing. That's what I was trying to communicate before. Before you make sure you think. Don't just start writing without thinking. If you can even do the 80-20 principle, where they talk about the planning and execution, you should be able to think outside the box, be very innovative, be very creative in your thought processes before you begin to write anything. Then you need to provide a clear sense of purpose, the what, why, and how. You write with information, literature. You don't just say, I think, or just what sociology we call the armchair approach. Whatever you're writing should be empirically based. It should be based on fact. It should be based on knowledge. And you should be able to provide your references for that. And another thing about literature is that make sure you use current literature. Don't apply for grants on ICT and begin, to quote literature of 2010. Of course, there are a few instances where these are allowed, when those things are classic studies. Till tomorrow, people still refer to Karl Marx's work, the father of capitalism. Of course, those works are classic work that so many works were built on. It's okay to do that. But those kind of citations should not take even the 5% of your literature. So write with current, not just writing with information, write with current information. You should be able to let your funders know that you are in tune with the current state of knowledge on a particular topic you want to work on. So always make sure that your proposal is focused on community impact. When we were in our BS, doing our bachelor's, project, I was told that is not, you can't describe BSc work as thesis or dissertation. It's just called a project. Because at that level, they just want to know that you understand the basic principles of scientific writing. But now that you have gone beyond your first degree, you've gone past second degree, you're on your third degree, and perhaps you are even done with your PhD, your thoughts should be about impact, no longer on the basic research that ends up in the shelf. In other words, how am I going to make sure that my research translates to community impact, no matter how little? It's possible that you did a study and you discovered that teenage pregnancy is very prevalent in a particular setting. You are done with your studies, you have published, and that is called the proximate or proximal beneficiaries. There are also distal beneficiaries in research. How do you make sure that your project gets to these distal beneficiaries? In other words, you can just go back to that community where you did that study on. You can have something as small as a seminar. You can have something as small as an outreach. If you're writing on menstrual hygiene, whatever, you can write to companies and ask them to, give you pad, to give back to them that they are having period poverty and all of that. And with this thing I've just said, think about it in line with grant writing. Make sure that whatever you're writing on, you should be able to communicate community impact on it. Now, let me give you a typical example on a research. This one is a research now, not a grant. So 3, 4, 5 years ago, we did a study in a small community in southeastern Nigeria on sexual violence. You know, the thought was that we used to say that in rural areas, children are safe and all of that. You know, there are some literature that have that opinion, that young girls are safer in rural areas than in urban areas. I queried that and I said, come, let's even go and test run this thing and find out how true this is. What we did is that we went into that community. We interviewed using in-depth interviews, just 15 girls in secondary schools. And out of that 15 girls, I personally was shocked to know that 13 of them have experienced sexual violence. 13 of them have been raped. And the thing that made my heart, although as a researcher, you try to hide all of these feelings, but that is also where bias comes in as well. But I'm not going to delve into that right now. The thing that made my heart bleed was that out of that 13, 11 of them have not told anybody, did not disclose it to anyone, including their own parents. They didn't know. They were saying, oh, you are the first person I'm telling this, you are the first person I'm telling this. Now, when we went back, we analyzed the findings, we published in a reputable journal, but we didn't end there. About a year later, I went to the state government through the agenda office. I contacted a human rights practitioner, a legal practitioner, you know, different professionals that deal with sexual violence. We organized an outreach. We went to educate these girls on gender-based violence. How do you get it? How do you respond to it even when it happens? And we reached over 300 girls. So that is an example of community impact. So whatever you are putting down, whenever you're writing your grant, you should be able to tell your funders that there is an expected impact on the community. And then it is very important to make sure that you respond promptly. Last week, Prof was talking about how costly it is not to submit on time. You know, there's something in Nigeria we call village people, okay? So that village people mentality is that when you fail to do your work, you attribute it to preternatural causes. You feel that some forces beyond the physical have impeded all your efforts. It's possible that it's that very night that the power holding company, your system will not be charged, you lose network and all of that. So, you know, there's something the Holy Scripture talked about the wise and the foolish virgins. And unfortunately, that same parable continues to translate in different facets of life, even up until today. So don't be among the foolish virgins that did not get extra oil for their lamp. In other words, you need to make sure that you respond promptly to any applications you are on. Is there any question?
Go on, of course. If you have any question, please, either on Zoom or on YouTube, please write it out in the comment section. In due course, we will check it out.
All right. Okay. All right. Okay. So the next one we are going to focus on real well is writing a competitive grant proposal. Now, there's something called the pre-proposal planning, setting the scene, describing the intervention, describing your methodology, implementing partner. Oh my God, can you mute? Please, the moderator should please mute everyone, please. Thank you. So,
Judith, please unmute yourself. Judith, you are muted now. We'll meet everybody. So you unmute yourself, please.
Thank you. All right.
Yeah, thank you so much. And okay, if you can show your face, that would be good. But otherwise, if you don't want, we can hear you.
Okay, no, I would have actually loved to, but I'm trying to optimize the internet, but it's fine.
Okay. Go ahead. It's okay. We can hear you loud and clear.
So,
Yeah.
during the question, I will. So let's make sure the internet is not affected because of the bandwidth. Okay, so
thank you.
the proposal planning, setting the scene, describing the intervention, describing your methodology, implementing partner. And I'm going to take a little time, dwell on all these 5 key things, and then describe what I have to say. So on the pre-proposal planning, the first key thing to do here is to change grant requirements. I learned this, although not on grant writing, I learned this from one of my professors, the revered Professor Oka Obono of the University of Ibadan. So when I was doing my master's, he was applying for something, and you know, when you just take a look at it, you could just feel like, okay, this is something I can do. But there's something he said, and that never left me till date. He said, Judith, this looks like something I can do, but let me just go through the eligibility. You know, when he went through the eligibility, it happened that the last eligibility, you know, he didn't meet it, not because he's not qualified, but I can't remember exactly what. But the lesson I picked from there is always check the grant requirements. There are sometimes grant requests for proposal could be as lengthy as 4 pages and all of that. Before you read them, just look for that subheading, eligibility or grant requirements. Just read that one first and check whether you are qualified. Just go through that one first so that you don't waste your time. So when you check the requirements, the eligibility in terms of your qualifications, it's possible that you know you can write on this, let's say climate change and health, you know you can do this, but one of the requirements should be that you need to have a collaborating partner in, say, United Kingdom, in a school, and even categories of school they want. And if you feel that, oh, I can write, you know, climate change and health, I did my PhD on that. And then when you are at the point of submission, you meet this kind of thing, you see that more or less you just wasted your time. But in a way, it's not a total waste of time because you can repackage that for another one. But instead of meeting all these kind of things that could make you feel like, oh, I've wasted my time, go through the eligibility first. Check the institutional affiliation requirement, location requirement, word count. Some of them are very strict on word count. Some will tell you 200 words. Some are very strict and let me use the word loosely, stingy with words. Some could tell you 150 word, and they'll tell you all the many things they want to be included in that 150 word count. So you should check all of these things, check qualifications, check the kind of partners they require, they request of you. So the second one is priority match. Is your topic within their thematic area of focus? It's very important to know and to understand what their focus is on. Is it even a priority in that region? Let's take, for instance, in Nigeria, I don't know, can we just do a little experiment? Can you just give me an example of what you think is the focus or priority for your country? Let me use Nigeria as an example. I don't want to see the national anthem. Please, don't put the national anthem as a priority. Just give me something serious, something important you think.
Yeah, I think we have other nationalities. So where you're from, Zambia or from
Zambia and all of
Zimbabwe,
that. So
your country, Kenya, just your country, what is topical? So
just give me an example of topical issue in your country, Nigeria, Canada, Gambia. It may not be the same.
Kenya, just from Kenya, we have some boundaries from Zambia. So that's
flood, inflation, and food security in Nigeria. Example, food price inflation. Exactly. Citizen welfare. Which country? Citizen welfare. Primary healthcare in Kenya. Good. Great. Great. Food price inflation for Nigeria. Exactly. This is very topical. Exactly. Thank you very much. Thank you. Please, let's keep them coming. Let's keep them coming. Let's keep them coming. Poverty and inequality in Nigeria. Exactly. Michael, thank you very much.
That's actually one of our senior professors from University of Calabar, Professor Mike
Oh,
Kenyong. Thanks so much for joining,
thank
Professor.
you very much, Professor. Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. So these are very topical issues. Insecurity. Insecurity is there in Nigeria. We have things on healthcare, poverty, hunger, leadership. You know, these are all priorities. And I can assure you that if you have call for proposals and, you know, these are their priority area and you're from Nigeria, I mean, if you follow their processes where everybody, it's glaring that these are issues, it's glaring that these are all challenges, you know. And the last thing here is under priority match is you writing it, do you have interest in it? There's something my supervisor told me when I was doing my PhD. He said, Judith, don't just write on a topic because it's flashy, it's nice. He said that a time will come in your PhD when you will be drained. But the only thing that will keep you going is your passion for that topic, not even your knowledge. At some point on this journey, knowledge may fail you, but passion will always keep you going. So make sure that whatever you are asking funders, you know, to provide grant for, you have interest in, and be sure you will be able to meet with deadlines. You know, sometimes grants have multiple deadlines. They could tell you so and so. They make sure you've turned in your letter of intent, make sure you've turned in your full proposal, institutional letters, and all of that. So because institutions are going to provide some of these things and they have their own procedures, make sure you are in tune with every deadline that is required. So the second one is setting the scene. So here, the first thing is motivation for your study. Begin your proposal with a clear problem statement that motivates the research. This sets a scene by describing the challenges that intervention is seeking to address. Now, they used to call it hitting the nail on the head. Go straight to the problem you want to talk about. Later, you can usually, some people also call it the funnel approach or some inverted funnel approach. You know, you start from the problem. Make sure you start from the problem so that you capture the interest of your reader. And now, how do you know a great idea? A great idea should be able to establish that there is a problem. It is clear that this is a problem. It is clear that insecurity is a problem. It is clear that inflation is a problem in Nigeria. It is clear that citizen welfare is a problem in Kenya, and all of that. And make sure that it's going to fill a gap in knowledge. Make sure that it's something that will make a difference. Make sure that, you know, it's something that has long-term benefit and short-term benefits. Make sure it's scientifically significant. You know, these are the things or nuggets, what I call nuggets or checklists you should be able to have in mind, and make sure that it's methodological appropriate. Now on this, let me give you an example. Now on this, there's something that said, available reports indicate that related disability is one of the major health challenges among the elderly population. Now you have established that there's a problem, and that is aging-related disability, and it's a major health challenge. Now your reader should be able to say, oh, what about this? What about aging-related disability? And then you go on. Studies on aging and disability have largely focused on the biomedical consequences. In other words, you are telling the people that, yes, studies have been done on aging-related disability, but it has largely focused on the clinical perspective. But there is little attention to lifestyle, demographic, and economic characteristics of aging that predispose the elderly to disability. The person will be like, oh, yes, that's right. A lot of times, you know, aging-related disability is focused on biomarkers, clinical consequences of clinical conditions in terms of the height, weight, obesity, and all of that. But what are those lifestyles? What are those demographics? What are those economic characteristics that predispose these older adults to having disability? Now, another example is this. Women interests remain underrepresented in local policymaking, despite the implementation of community-based and participatory planning budgeting program in much of developing world. You have established a problem, and that is the underrepresentation of women, even in their own local policy making. It's a problem. Now you continue, male dominance in neighborhood institution may make it difficult for women voices to be heard. Even if women attendance quotas in village planning and budgeting meetings are met. Now, I don't want to waste time, but I mean, at a glance too, you can also see that this is also addressing the issue of what? Gender inequality. See that even when women quotas in village planning and budgeting meetings are met, they are still what? Underrepresented in local policy making. If I'm a funder, I'll be very interested in these studies or in this summary. Now, let's look at research question on this. When you are setting the scene, you make sure that your research question is direct. You don't beat around the bush, and it shows how it fits into the literature and into the field. The first thing to do is that make sure you narrow, that your research question is narrow and specific enough to answer your proposed project when you're writing. Make sure that it clearly fits a particular research agenda of the funder. Now, sometimes when funders come up with requests for proposal, they have different thematic areas. Make sure that your research is well situated within any of their thematic areas. Another thing you need to also do is make sure that there is a contribution to literature. Now, how will your study contribute to literature? And how is your study also contextualized within existing literature? These are the two things. The first thing is, what will your study do to literature? And the second thing is, what have other literature done for your study? In other words, it is symbiotic. It has to, be something that you are giving and you're also taking, or you're taking and you're also giving. Avoid, prior research, disparaging prior research, or necessary criticisms. As an academic, you can critique, but avoid criticisms. Critique is different from criticisms. Critique is something that, you are saying now, okay, this research has done this, but it has not done that. But criticism is, well, oh, this research is bad. Didn't look at this. No research has it all. Research is just an iota of what there is in a particular topic. So make sure you build on what your predecessors have done. Make sure even if you want to critique their work, make sure you don't disparage it. And rather than emphasize how your research builds, rather emphasize how exactly what I'm saying, how your research builds on existing work. Keep your research review concise and cite studies that are directly relevant to your project. I've said this, make sure you cite relevant study, relevance in terms of time, in terms of scope, in terms of geography, relevance in terms of time, in terms of scope, in terms of geography. A common mistake, again, is spending too long on the motivation and literature review and doing too little on the intervention and research design. We are going to come on to that. Now, just like I've said, a good idea or compelling project, the literature review has to be very key and it has to be very critical. Ensure we can never oversight. That's why you see that some of the things I'm saying, like I'm repeating them, but grants writing is not a rocket science, it's not a brain surgery. If you know all of these things, you should be able to, come up with good, great grant proposal that can be funded. In other words, ensure that you're doing a very good literature review. Make sure that your literature review is what's relevant in terms of time, in terms of scope, in terms of geography. Make sure that your research is addressing a significant problem. That's why I ask you, what are the topical issues in your country or in your region? Make sure that your niche, you can be able to identify your niche and what is to be achieved in terms of objective. Clear description of the research methodology activity can never be overemphasized in terms of the design, and each of these things need to have its own justification. What is the justification for choosing a mixed method over qualitative and quantitative? What is the justification for your choice of location? What is the justification for your sampling, your data collection procedures? Your grant writing will become stronger when you add justifications to each of these things. Now, how do you indicate success by objective? In other words, your inputs, outputs, outcome, impacts. Indicates the likely theoretical, methodological, and policy relevance. Exactly. It has to be theoretically relevant, it has to be methodologically relevant, and policy relevant. I don't know any study that we do that we cannot say that it has a policy relevance. Why are you doing it in the first place? And then make sure that your budget is realistic and justifiable. Sometimes the funders make it easier for us by giving us budget line, the things that can be funded and things that cannot be funded. Make sure you align with that. And make sure you stick, if someone says they're going to give you $10,000, don't go and write a budget that is $12,000. Now, there are exceptions. If you think you can have any additional funding, but it depends on what your funder wants, and you think you can source for the additional money, you can go ahead. But make sure that you check the grant requirements on that. And make sure, again, that it's a good fit. Don't go and be writing on climate change and health when the funder is asking you climate change and food security, irrespective of the fact that there is a way you can weave all of these things together. But make sure that at the first site, it's addressing funding agency priority. Now, the third one is describing the intervention. Intervention details is very important. And it is important to provide sufficient details about the intervention your proposal is aimed at bringing on board. Now, ensure that your study is feasible. Ensure that your findings will be reliable. Ensure that your evaluation will answer the question they are asking. Every funder wants value for money. Remember that funding is not charity. Funding, they are not dashing you money. Just like Professor Evans said last week, he said that, this is a win-win thing. They need value for their money. They are also giving reports to funders. They have people that are funding them to fund you. So they need to give them accountability. And I think the pressure on them is even more than the one they will be giving on you. And another thing is theory of change. Theory of change is very important. In other words, the description of the intervention should include a discussion of the theory of change. It is important because it lays out the causal chain of the intervention. In other words, how will program X affect program Y? Now, creating a theory of change starts with problem and intended impact, and it should show a clear link between a work you are doing and something you intend to achieve. When you want to create a theory of change, make sure you start with a problem and you talk about the intended impact, and then you show a clear link between the work you are doing and the intended impact. Now, let me give another example from the same topic we talked about last week, the smoke fishing, and the guy or the lady seeking grants for smoke to improve smoke fishing in Mali. Now, one of the intended impacts could be that at the end of doing this study or this research, this could help the government increase its revenue. It's an intended impact. It can even also have impact on health. The funders want to know that whatever we are doing have impact. Remember when I talked about community impact, grant writing should go beyond the normal thing we do in project writing. It should go beyond that. There needs to be visibility of impact. Another thing is that who are those that will benefit from these impacts? As part of your theory of change, who are your beneficiaries? You need to tell them this. Is it the government? Is it the community member? Is it the scientific community? Remember, I talked about proximal beneficiary and distal beneficiaries. Using that example I cited, proximal beneficiary could be and the people that will read the work. Other researchers, distal beneficiary could be people that when you translate these research findings, what impact is it going to have on that community, right? Are we following? I just want to make sure that I'm not talking to myself.
Yes, loud and clear.
Thank you very much.
Yes, ma'am.
There's some questions already coming in. Maybe you try to push forward so that we can have some time for Q&A.
All right.
Of course,
Okay.
yeah.
All right. Okay. So, as part of the theory of change, sometimes the founder may ask you, how do you intend to achieve the theory of change? In other words, what we call pathway to impact. I'm just speaking on theory of change. It's not there on your slide. I'm just speaking to it, expanding on it to impact. Now, pathway to impact should be, how will your research output get to the benefit? Now, there are 5 things you should bear in mind. There's something we called the research benefit, dissemination benefit, uptake benefit, implementation benefit, and impact. Remember, the theory of change is all about impact. Now, under research benefit, I'm really speaking to it, and I'm going to rush talking about it. Now, the research benefit is who is likely to benefit from this. Dissemination benefit is, okay, we'll publish our findings. I mean, everybody knows that publication is part of it, but go beyond that. Go beyond just saying you will publish your findings. Come up with examples of topics, examples of titles, the publication outlets, the name of the journals you would like to target. And for funders such as the Royal Society of Tropical Medicine and Health, they have 2 journals, translational research and one other one. They will be happy to know that these are the titles, and I will come up at the end of this research, and then I'm going to publish it here. They want to know all of these things. Beyond all of these things, they also want to know, how will you also conduct outreach? At the end of the day, will you be able to, have a small brief with the government, with agencies, or whatever? That is dissemination benefit. Uptake benefit. They also want to know, at the end of the day, with the government, the NGO, the people, how will they absorb your findings? Implementation benefits. I'm just giving these things along a keep so that you not know how you can weave it into your writing. In other words, implementation benefit is what new things will come out of this thing, and how will it be of benefit? How will it lead to new products? How will it lead to new policy? And then the final one is the impact. Now, the next thing, this is describing the methodology. Describing the methodology is very important. You have to explain your research design. You have to show brevity in all of them. Do not micromanage. Be very explicit. What kind of study are you doing? Are you doing experimental design? Are you doing exploratory study? Are you using qualitative design? Are you using a mixed method? If you're doing experimental design, you should be able to show treatment arm and the control. There are so many things on methodology. Methodology, make sure you get it right. Your sample size, your sampling, and all of that. Your hypothesis, what is your source of data? How will you assess data? Is it secondary data? Is it primary data? Are these data reliable? What are their validity? What are their reliability? If you're going to be getting primary data, that survey data, how will you check the reliability and validity of your instrument? You need to do pre-test, you need to do pilots, and all of that. How will you do it? And then how will you define your timelines? They want to see your timelines. What are your sample size? Now, the next thing is implementing partner and research team. I'm not going to waste time on this, but the funders want to know who are you working with. Now, there are tricky ways of doing all of these things. I call it tricky, not because it is deceptive, but the funders want to know that you are in the middle. As an early career that we are, they want to know that you are partnering with more experienced people. They also want to know that you're also carrying people who are upcoming along. So it has to be balanced. along what I call the generations, academic generations. You know, the older adults, the middle adults, the adolescents, the young persons, and all of. Now translate this into academic circle. You need to know how, as part of your partner, people who are established. If you can get them, it gives you more reliability for your study. If you can even partner with organizations, DIaDeRC is there, IPA is there, and so on. It also gives you greater credibility as an individual, and they can even trust you more with their money. Experience is very important, and it also gives more visibility to your project. You need to describe the role and experience of each member of the team. That is when the CVs come in. You know, you give their CV, you describe who they are, what they have done before, and so on. So timeline is also very, very important in grant writing. They want to know that whatever they are giving you, you will not do it in another 10 years. Depending on the type of grant, there are some grants that can stretch to 2 years, 3 years. But if you can even finish, or depending on whatever you're doing, of course, there are some times that the timeline you are given might not be feasible. There's something they call no cost extension. In other words, you request for time from these people, especially when there is a macro disturbance in the system. Say, for instance, you want to work in schools among lecturers and they go on strike. There's practically nothing you can do about it. The strike will linger for as long as 1 year, 8 months. So you need to notify your funders and tell them, look, I need more time on this. This is what happened. It's possible that it's a case of insecurity. During the COVID-19, there was a lockdown. These are all visible instances where you can request for no cost extension, regardless of the timeline you have already requested or you have already told them. Now, there's a thing called the CFA in grant proposal writing: contextualization, feasibility, and approach. Prove that you have a good research idea. Show familiarity with research area, current state of knowledge. Under contextualization, feasibility, make sure that you realize that there are challenges and you can be able to circumvent them. And the approach in terms of method, you know, I say that everything we are saying here is more or less like repeating, but these are very important. Now, let me quickly rush to common mistakes in grant writing, implementation, and all of that. The common mistake number one is not paying close attention to what the RFP is actually looking for. Make sure you understand the questions the RFP is looking for. Do not maneuver the question, because you will not get it. Make sure you understand critically well questions they are asking and what they want to fund and what their end goals of the donors are. Remember that these donors are human beings. They want value for their money. They want to know that if they are giving you this money, they are going to get even greater value than the money they have given you. They say that even great project ideas are unlikely to be funded if not aligned with donors' interests. Now, there could be great idea. Oh, in Nigeria, women in rural area faces high maternal mortality and pregnancy-related death. And I have the solution to make sure that if a woman is getting closer to her labor time and there is no close hospital there, she can have access to an online doctor she can speak with. Excellent idea. But is that what the donors are? As great as this idea is, if it's not aligned with donors' interest, it will not be funded. So how do you avoid this? Make sure you pay attention to the specific language used in the RFP and make sure you use it. For instance, if your funders are saying older adults using that language, don't write your proposal using something like elderly. Make sure you understand their language, their terms, and make sure you replicate it for them. Understand the kind of work they are doing. Is it academic focus study? Is it policy-oriented study? Is it program design activities? There are some funds that will require you to design a program. So make sure you understand that. And look at the studies, go through their website, look at similar studies that they have funded and what made their work stand out. The second mistake to avoid on the next slide is waiting until the end of the introduction you're actually going to do. Nobody have that kind of time. When I realized how demanding proposal review was when I applied for Royal Society of Tropical Medicine and Health grants, RSTMH grants. You know, I had to go through their global assessors to look at who is in Nigeria, told him like, this topic is what I want to work on. Do you think it's something that can be funded? Should I go ahead and all of that? The man told me that it's a very good topic. It can be funded, but I can tell you the truth. Make sure you go straight to the point because we have tight deadlines. They could give us like 1 month to review 100 proposals. That is how tight they are. And then you are coming with your work and you're beating around the bush, citing literature up and down. Your assessor is already an expert in. What are you bringing to the table? What are you bringing to the table? What will make your reviewer stay glued to your work? So make sure that the first statement, second, third statement, we are talking about the problem. You should be able to establish that your work is worth it. How to avoid this? Start with a statement of purpose. Go straight to the point. Don't start with the background information or according to this, literature this, Hamas this, and all of that. Go straight to what the problem is, and then you can come back. The third mistake is not including clear explanation of how your research findings will be used. Hello, how can somebody give you a fund and you're not telling them how your findings will be useful? What then are you doing? That's why I keep emphasizing the importance of community. Review board wants to know how the findings from the study will be used. How will this be useful to others? And to avoid this mistake, outline how the result could be used. I've said this before. Make sure that it's filling a gap. Make sure that it's informing local policies. Make sure that it can also provide a proof of concept for a new implementation approach, and make sure it has community impact. The fourth one is not spending enough time on the research design. I don't know how you want to do a study and then you're just writing half a page on your research design. It makes you look unserious. And nobody have time for serious people because they have so many wonderful proposals. They are not even, sometimes I feel for these reviewers because they know that your work is excellent, but because of paucity of funds, limited resources, they are not able to fund. And now you are coming with research design that is not well articulated. You have eased the burden on their conscience. They know that, oh, this one doesn't understand research design. So you make it easier for them. So if you don't want to give your reviewers work, please just do all these mistakes. And then you make the work easier for them. At first look, they will just dump it, just the way a lot of HR do with CVs. Many teams, they spend a lot of time explaining problems, motivation for their study, but they don't have sufficient details on how they will collect their data in terms of on how their research design is. Now, to avoid this mistake, make sure that your research design is well detailed. Now, I am coming towards the end of this presentation.
Yeah, Judith, if you can tidy up in the next 3-5 minutes, that would be great. So we can have a Q&A.
All right, dealing with rejections. Now, when you have done all of these things and your work get rejected. Now, there's this song by Aliyah. You can Google it later that says, at first she don't succeed. You can dust yourself to try again. Yeah, you can dust yourself to try again. So dust yourself up and try again. Let me give you a typical example with myself. I've known rejection A lot of my work have been rejected. I can't even count how many funding grants I have applied. That doesn't mean that your work is not good. Now, let me give you a typical example. Imagine starting on behalf of, I've removed the name for ethical reasons. On behalf of this, I want to thank you for applying for this, that early career grants and acknowledge the time and all of that. I am now pleased to inform you that your application is true and has moved to the second round of assessment. Congratulations. And now you'll be like, oh, wow. And then after a month or so, they will start with all their lengthy words. I'm sure that some of you may be familiar with it. If you're not yet familiar with what I'm saying, that's means you have not started writing. I want to thank you for applying for this. They will start by thanking that the efforts you have put into application, and then they will now tell you, I regret to inform you, unfortunately, you have not been selected. And then what do? Please don't just end up with that. Make sure you write them back and acknowledge them. Thank them for their time and all of that. It helps, in case if you are reapplying, it puts you on their mind so they will pay closer attention if possible. And if they are simple, that will review. So the other one, I'm just giving you this typical example from myself. The other one is another one I applied. I was narrowed down. You know, they kept sending me until towards the end. And then they told me on that. And then when I wrote them to require why it was not, they said it was exceptionally good. Committee member describe your work as having extraordinary relevance. And this is somewhere in Canada, extraordinary academic excellence. Unfortunately, we do not have any clear, you did not have any qualified you and all of that. What do? You move on. I still thank them. And then the fact is that rejection is like a marriage. It doesn't mean that the man was bad, or it doesn't mean that the woman was entirely bad. You wanted that marriage to work, but it didn't work. So what? Do you go down to anger? Do you bargain? Oh, this man hates me and all of that. Take yourself into depression. The truth is that we should be able to take care of our mental health is very important. Rejection is painful. It hurts, but do not take it personal. It doesn't mean that your work is bad. It means that they have limited resources, especially when you get their feedback telling you that. Accept that it didn't work. Be more compassionate on yourself. Seek for feedback. And then I said, if you want 1 grant, apply for 10. If you want 10, apply for 100. You can't just apply for 1 grant that did not get funded and you feel that is not bad. Now you can screen the grant proposal writing cycle. You see from that one that has a touch, that torchlight is like an idea. You have an idea, you write, see all your books on table, the journals and all of that. You get funded, you celebrate with your friend. But after writing, your work gets declined or rejected. You see the way people bend their neck and all of that. You try again with new idea. Even when your work is funded, you continue to try again, reconceptualizing for another one. So it's a cycle. You don't give up. So it's not that bad. It's not that bad. Rejection is not that bad. I can assure you that if you keep trying, you're going to get it. Despite all my rejection, last year I was able, just the way they said during the introduction, I got the African German Network of Excellence in Science, AGNES grant. I got a postdoc. I got a research associateship. I got a seed grant to carry out community development, some fully funded workshop and travel grants, and all that. So in conclusion, I want you to understand that grant winning is possible. You write, you win, you implement. You have to do due diligence. You need to be consistent, focused, and determined. You need to know how you disseminate your finding. Trust capital is very important. Collaborations. As an academic, as a writer, you need to be transparent. People can read you through your work. They know when you overpromise. And you also make sure that your report is very timely. So finally, I want to acknowledge some people. The reason why I'm acknowledging them is that because wherever I sound the toll of my modest academic achievements or excellence, these people, especially these 5 people, they're always in the picture. And this slide presentation, some of them were also based on what I also learned from them. I do not all credit to everything I presented on the slides. I attribute it to these people as well, both the things I've learned and the work they have done before. So Professor Evans Osabuohien is the first person I'm acknowledging. Of course, he's on this call. The second person is my mentor, my PhD supervisor, Professor Uche Charles Isigo Abani here. He's an emeritus professor of demography in the Department of Sociology, University of Ibadan, Nigeria. The third person is Professor Itelbert Mukosha. He is also my mentor. He's also the Dean of the Faculty of Social Sciences in Ibadan as well. I'm also acknowledging Chris Chukwunyere. Chris Chukwunyere, incidentally, is my boss at Inspire World International Foundation. He actually gave me my first seed grant to carry out my first community-based project. And he also helped register my nonprofit so that as I am doing research in the academic, I have a structure where I will use to translate the impact. And I also want to acknowledge Claire Hoffman of JPAL Africa. Of course, some of her works I cited or I used for my presentation. So thank you very much for listening. It's now time for questions, and I'll be providing answers. Thank you very much for your time.
Thanks, Bilo. If you can clap your hands digitally. Otherwise, on YouTube, on Zoom. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, Madam Judith. If we leave you, keep talking tomorrow, but thanks a lot for the passion. Yes, we have a lot of Q&A on the session. Please read them out as we go. And then if you have a burning thing you want to talk, you can raise your hand. We'll unmute you so you can talk. But we want to take the ones that are already on the Q&A session in on the chat. Also, happy to let's also check YouTube whether we have a question there. So let's read them quickly. Not so much, but they're important. Okay, if you can just, are we the team members?
Yeah, there's one here.
Okay, let me read them quickly for time. I will start from the end of it. One is from, there was one from, somebody's asking about, that's from Beloki, what CFA, and the CFA was mentioned, contextualization, feasibility, and approach. That's for what CFA means. That's from Kiruka Okonkwo. Contextualization, feasibility, and approach. This was the slide. There's another one from, that's from Ngwege Beloki Predalin from Cameroon. Please kindly expatiate what you meant by literature review should be relevant in terms of geography. In terms of geography, Julie, take note of that. Another one from Solomon Kauka. I don't know whether it's from Nigeria or from Indonesia. Solomon saying, please, what type of hypothesis test should be done in grant proposal writing? I mean the 1 or 2 tests. Which one is more appropriate? Take note of that, Judith. Then somebody's asked again. Wait, okay, I think that's the crucial ones we have on this one for now. So please, we can respond to them. I've already answered the one for CFA. These are the two from Brenda Lynn, issue of geography and issue review, and also from Solomon, issue of type 2 or type 1 hypothesis. Thanks a lot, Judith, once again.
All right. Okay. All right. Can you hear me? I hope I've not muted myself.
Loud and clear, yeah.
Okay. All right. The question on the geography, when I mentioned literature review, where I talked about relevance of literature review, I said it has to be relevant in time, in terms of scope, in terms of time, and in terms of geography. So what I mean by geography is that whatever, wherever you want to cite, make sure it's a setting where that finding is relevant. Okay, let me take, for instance, as an example, the study on aging. I mentioned aging and disability. Now, the person who had that work could be making a position that, aging welfare should be improved in Nigeria, and citing examples where they have successful aging welfare, like United States, where they have a long-term plan. So when you are reviewing, make sure that you're using context and locations where what you want done is, you know, the country. I don't know if you understand what I'm saying. I don't know if I'm explaining it well.
Yeah, I think I can add to that. Basically, what I tell my PhD students that when you do review, you try to segment it by geography. Maybe I have a supervisor here from Zambia. She's working on the copper and stakeholder engagement in copper value chain. So what I advise that in that context, you can have like a session for global overview, what has been discussed globally on the issue of copper stakeholder engagement. Then two, you can have segment to what is African perspective, what has been said in other African countries. And then three, you can have a segment for the Zambia, what has been said in Zambia case. So that case able to bring out the gap and also help your audience or reviewer to know that you are in touch with the thematic and also the coverage of such research. So such a way of using geographical demarcation, your actual review will help also, it will help you one and two, help you the reviewers to assess. And then thirdly, if you are discussing your work when you finish the project, you can be to discuss which ones of the research review your findings tally with or disagrees based on what is because of the geography or because of the data use. So that's what I advise my mentees to do. I think that should answer that question. There's one on the type 2T or 1T. You want to take that on?
Okay. My simple response to that is let your research question inform your hypothesis, whichever you want to use, whether it's one tail or two tail. It should be informed by your research question. That is it.
Yeah, simple. I think basically the aim of the methodology is a means to an end, not an end itself. So whatever the kind of work you are doing should define the hypothesis you are doing, whether it's a qualitative or mixed method or quantitative. So whichever way you prefer. And secondly, you must be able to justify the choice of the one you are using. So there's no one stone kiss all. One car fit all. Okay. Also that somebody has a question to ask a question. Is it Bola? Are you sit there? You can raise your hands if you have this born in you want to ask, please. Are you there? You can.
No, my question has been touched, sir.
Okay, great. Okay, so thanks a lot. Yeah, we have barely 2 minutes to go for this call. And I also appreciate everyone for coming. And we have 2 minutes. Just to recap what I've said, Judith has said a lot. And the good thing about this episode is that it's on YouTube Live. So once you drop now, you can go over it again and again and again and again. And just to recap that if you're on this call, I congratulate you because you are taking a serious life adventure. So I'm asking. Okay, yes. I just to say that the assignment for today's lecture will be online tomorrow. By God's grace, assignment exercise 2 will be on tomorrow by God's grace. That means that if you've not done exercise 1, you are owing. Ensure that you do that accordingly. We'll open everything before that. We'll open so exercise 1 will be on, exercise 2 will be on tomorrow, exercise 3 will be on. Like I said earlier, the exercises help us to one ensure that it's taking place, and then you read that for me. So somebody has a question. It's in the comments or YouTube. It's a question on YouTube. Okay, sorry. Does it mean that one must state the results of instrument validity and reliability tests in the grant proposal? Okay, there's no yes and thanks for that question from the YouTube. So basically, issue of reliability and viability is important, but it depends on the type of call you're dealing with, and then to depend on the type of question your study is about to ask. Okay, for example, you're writing a survey for quantitative research. You want to know whether you want to test for validability or reliability of your instrument. Okay, so again, there's no there's no yes and no to that question. If you are dealing with such question, you want to if you are using survey, for example, you may want to include the survey instruments and test explain to them why you think it's reliable and also it's also valid. Okay, so that's I think that should be simple to that question. Okay, as we plan to close, and already 1 minute. Okay, just so once again, announce to us that our ASMN premium is still on, and let me just tell on this. By end of June, we'll close the first batch. Okay, also, and then to be very useful for us if our people on this call join on the first batch of the ASMN premium group with a lot of benefits on the websites, and I also take time to explain it on our YouTube page via this link. I will just mention that the exercise 1 is already ongoing. Thanks to about 44% that have done it. But tomorrow exercise 2 will be up. So let's ensure we do the exercises. It will help you to reflect on them. I normally put the YouTube recording on the exercise as well. And then for this exercise, it's also help us to know your choice of thematic areas. So we can group you, so we can begin to collaborate. Okay, and then lastly, it's also one of the preconditions for certificates, apart from also the premium that we have to also subscribe to. So if there's no burning issues, it's been a good time talking to another question. Okay, how can one measure the outcome of a proposed research project? You want to take that before you go? How can one measure the outcome of a proposed research project? Otherwise, I can jump on that. Judith,
Okay. Let me just say something briefly. So
Yeah.
it will help whenever you're designing your research projects. Use what is called the result chain, where you have the inputs, the activities, due to outputs, outcome, and your impact. So with this, you should be able to measure the outcome. As a matter of fact, it shouldn't even end at outcome. It should also have space for impact. Okay, so Prof, let me leave you because of time. We just a minute more left.
Okay, basically, so I'll give an example. It's like what happens when I do this study. Like the one that Judith mentioned about the girls that she interviewed in secondary schools. We tell that they were okay. The inputs that this research finding, we discussed with teenagers in secondary school, and then the activities that you engage, activities or input that you engage them in discussion, give them practical examples, and then the outcome will now be that it will create more awareness on them to know how to report attempt of sexual harassment. And then so another outcome could be, or a wide variable will be that at the end of the day, to help families to understand how best to take up the girl child. And then 2, the community itself can create mechanism to ensure that these ladies are protected from predators, such in quotes, whether from the school or from the community. And then 3, that the policymakers can also bring up policies to guide against such a predatory tendency from whether it's intimate or from violating the right of those young ladies. So that would be a simple way of analyzing what they call the theory of change. What will change when the research is being accomplished? Yeah, somebody have been asked about CFA. This CFA, now you can see it. C for contextualization, F for feasibility, and A for approach. We normally use it as a kind of research funnel to able to guide yourself that if I do my research, these are how it will help you to judge yourself and put your research proposal in a good perspective. You be to explain the context you're coming from, you be to explain the feasibility, and you be to explain the approach you are adopting. I think that hope that answers your question, Madam Nkiruka. Yeah, many as it coming. Okay, I think I've answered that question. Yeah, thanks so much, Nkiruka. Okay, please, 5 minutes beyond schedule. I don't want to go beyond this time. So let's stop recording and let's stop the Zoom. Like, I will wait for 5 minutes if there's other team burning, but let's stop recording. Let's stop recording and let's also stop the live. Okay, let's stop also stop the live streaming. Okay, thanks so much. Okay, any other burning question? Otherwise, we are good to go now. I will end this session in the next 3 minutes. Let me end the live. Stop recording. Okay.